Welcome to this special edition of our Coffee Time podcast for teachers, because we're also going to include this to our students. We're talking about an app for the iPad that I have loved ever since it first came out on my iPhone. And now it's been bought by Google and they've made it free. It used to be $2.99, $4.99, something like that. And a lot of people consider that to be an expensive app. And so going free really helps it out. We're going to talk about this app called SnapSeed. SnapSeed is a photo editor, and it does just about anything you could want. Now, there's a version for the iPhone, there's a version for the iPad, there's also an Android version, I do believe, if you have an Android phone. And if you want to download it and install it on your MacBook Pro, Mac Air, there is a $20 version that's downloadable there if you want an inexpensive photo editor that can do a lot of things very quickly. So we're going to open it up. We're going to take a look at SnapSeed. Now, I have already put a picture in here, but if I wanted to load a new picture, I would simply go up to the upper left-hand corner where you see the little camera icon, and I could choose to take a picture, or I could choose to load something out of the photo library, or if I found a picture that I have editing rights to and I want to just copy it, a picture on the internet, Creative Commons photo, I can copy it and paste it into SnapSeed and work with it from there. There are a number of details here that we can work with in SnapSeed. I'm not going to try to show them all to you, but they all sort of work the same way. So I'm going to do a few things to this picture, and we're just going to do it on the fly. I don't have any real preconceived notion of what I want to do with it. But one of the first places that I start is down here with this button that says Tune Image, because it does most of the legwork of what I want to do with an image right up front. And you'll see at the bottom of the screen there is a slider bar there for brightness. Now here's the way all these things work. If I move my finger vertically on the screen, then I get a list of different kinds of menus that I can work with. And so if I leave it on brightness, if I move my finger horizontally on the screen, I can either make this picture darker or I can make this picture really bright. Now I want to darken it down just a little bit. And because if I make it a little darker, you'll notice that the blue in the sky sort of gets a little stronger. I'm not going to go very far, just gets a little stronger. And there's some other things that I could do here. I could bump up the saturation, and so I'm going to pull the saturation up, and that makes all of the colors really vivid. If I went all the way to the left with saturation, I would be in a black and white photo. So I'm going to pull this up really high just because I want to do some really crazy things with this picture. Not necessarily something I would do all the time. And then if I look again, the white balance, I can make this really, really blue. I can pull it through the green. I can do a lot of things with white balance. I find that about a 7 or 8% shift in white balance usually gets me what I want. And so once I have everything saved the way I want it, over on the bottom right-hand side of the screen is the Apply button. And if I don't like anything I did, on the left-hand side of the screen is the Back button. It'll just undo everything. So I'm going to go ahead and apply that. And that was in the box marked Tune Image. Now, the crop image is really, really simple. It pulls up with a rule of thirds, and I can just grab a corner and I can make this anything that I want. I don't need to crop this picture, so I'm going to click back. But one of the things that I do want to do is I want to show you drama. There are a number of times on my phone that I will use drama. You see how that automatically, let me go back to where we were. This is the original picture. This is drama. And so it's kind of it almost does an HDR kind of effect, a high dynamic range. But you'll notice in the upper part of the clouds that it's really put in a lot of noise. You see all the little speckling up there. And you'll notice down here on the filter strength, it starts off about 90%. So I could pull that way down and just do maybe 2 or 3%, but you'll see in the sky, I'm already starting to get that noise in the upper right-hand corner again. So this is not a good filter to use on this picture. Some pictures it works nicely, and some pictures not so much. So I'm going to click the Back button, and I want to take you to grunge. And there's a reason I want to show you grunge, because there's a little trick here that I learned about grunge that I really like. I can click here on the right hand side. I can click texture, and you'll see that I have several different textures available to me. And so I'm going to change that texture to something else. And I click that again, it goes away. But on the left-hand side, I have this shuffle. And I can begin to shuffle through presets, random presets of this filter, some that will really blow out the picture, some that don't do quite so much. And I'm going to stop right there. Now, I may like that look, but I may like the picture look without the texture. And so if I scroll up and down, you'll see that I have texture strength, and I can pull that texture strength all the way down to 0. And now I have made a pretty dramatic adjustment to the picture. I'm going to go back here to my original shot, to here, but I have not added any texture strength. I mean, I could really blow that out at 100%, but that's not what I want to do. But you'll see one of the things it does is it's put a little focus in the middle and kind of blurred out the edges of the picture, and I like that effect. So I'm going to click Apply. Other things that I can do here, along with grunge, there is a black and white option, and I want to show you this because using the color filters, going to red, to orange, to yellow, to green, changes the hues of the blacks and whites a little bit. So there's some underlying elements of color going on even in black and white that sometimes we're not aware of. And so I kind of like the green, so I'm going to leave that there. And again, I have this menu, and with a black and white, sometimes we want it to get kind of that old feeling, so we might add some grain, and we can really blow it out with some grain. I'm just going to add a little bit. And again, I have brightness here. I could really bring it up, or I could bring it down and make it kind of dark. And I'm actually going to darken it down quite a bit here, so that I can show you the next option that I have, which I'm going to go down here to Center Focus. And in Center Focus, I get this little button here that I can move around the screen, and you'll see how big that circle is. And if I pinch there with my thumb and forefinger, I can make that circle bigger or smaller. And notice what's happening outside the circle. It's not only blurred, but it's also dark. And I want to really highlight that barn in the dark. So I'm going to kind of leave that there. Now, again, if I scroll up and down, I get a couple of other options. One is outer brightness. So outside that circle, I can change and pull that down even darker to make sort of a vignette around the image. And then if I go inside the circle, I could start to pull that out a little bit and make it a little brighter. And notice, again, we'll go back here to where we started when I pulled it in, to where we are now. I've just made a few little adjustments, and I'm going to click Apply. One of the things that I like about this program is that once I've done that, I can always go back to grunge again, and I can add a new layer of grunge if that's what I want to do. And I can look through here, and again, if I find one that I like, I can come down here to Texture Strength. I could bump that up, or I could take it all the way out. I'm gonna go back on that one. I don't really want to make that change. Let me show you one other thing that I can do, and that is Tilt Shift. I just want to show you, I'm not going to save it this way, but I'm going to show you what it does. In the Tilt Shift option, this little bar in the middle is where things are in focus. So let's pull that down, and I can, again, using a pinching motion, I can make that a little wider so that the whole barn is in motion. If I pinch in a twisting motion, you can see that I can sort of change the angle of the focus. And notice that just outside, it's a little blurred, and then it gets really blurred toward the end. And again, I have these options available, so I can change the size of the transition. That little feathered blur outside, I can change that. And then I can also change the blur strength and really pull it up so that outside that barn, everything's blurred down. And I'm really focusing my attention on the barn now. And I think that's probably all I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and click Apply. Once I get the picture that I like, I simply push Save, and you will see that it's processing, and that's saving it to my camera roll. And if I go out of here for just a second and go to my camera roll, you will see that I have this picture right here that I just created. This was a picture I did earlier, just kind of goofing around to kind of test out my system. But I really kind of like that one better because, excuse me, because I like the fact that it's really drawing attention to the highlighted barn. So this is one of those apps that can be used for a number of things. For students, we're doing our photography challenge, and as you're taking pictures with your iPad, you can use SnapSeed. It is the most universal photo editor that I have found, and you can do incredible things with your images as you're creating them, thinking about how you might want to use them in a presentation. Be sure and share them. We need a lot more pictures in our Edmodo group. For teachers, think about the fact that as you are teaching, things that you want to highlight, you will do so much more engagement of students with visual images in your presentations rather than just text. And so you have all of this technology at your disposal, and it is so easy to go out and create your own images or to take images from the internet, again, images you have rights to, Creative Commons images, and edit them the way you want them. Crop them, focus them, highlight them, blow them out, make them darker, change them from color to black and white, whatever you need to do. But this whole idea of making your presentations to students visual will do so much more in engaging them in the lesson and helping them to remember what's going on in the lesson than just bullet point after bullet point after bullet point. Students, the same for you. When you're giving your presentations in class, visual behind you while you talk is so much more powerful than just text and reading it to the class. So take the tools, take the iPad, your phone, your DSLR, whatever it is you have, go out and create your own images. Use something like SnapSeed to really make them what you want them to be, and go have some fun. This is it for Coffee Time. I hope that you've enjoyed this little special version for both students and teachers, and we'll catch you again next week.